the 1992 Olympic Winter Games. Next, from CBS Sports, in our 36th year of coverage, the National Football League.
I'm Greg Gumbel. He's Terry Bradshaw. We welcome you to week number 12 here on the NFL Today as we swing into playoff mode.
Absolutely.
The Buffalo Bills can clinch the AFC East Division title if they beat Miami tomorrow night, and the Jets lose to New England today. And if the Redskins beat the Steelers today, Washington is officially in the playoffs. It's very nice when you can start to talk playoffs already, isn't it?
Well, you know, football's been so boring this year. I'm so glad to see we've got a few games left, and now all of a sudden teams are realizing their position. You look at the Cowboys, you look at the Giants, Seattle, the Raiders, Detroit Lions, those 5 teams in particular. Opportunity today to get themselves in a position primarily as a wild card. This is playoff time. I like it.
Yeah, right now, with half an hour to kick off in the early games, here's who's warming up. In Pittsburgh, Mark Rippon pulls the reins for the 10-0 Redskins. Last Sunday, Rippon threw for 6 touchdowns and ran for a 7th. We'll have more later on the Redskins' run at a perfect season. Deion Sanders returns to Atlanta's starting lineup at cornerback to battle the Bucs. After watching first his Braves and now his alma mater, Florida State, go down, Deion hopes for better luck, jump-starting the Falcons' wild-card playoff drive. And at Indianapolis, Jim Harbaugh and the Bears, fresh off their Monday night conquest of the Vikings, look to pad their NFC Central lead against the Colts. And Harbaugh is looking down the road to bigger things.
All I'm thinking about is eating right, being healthy, focused totally on football the rest of this 8 or 9 weeks, because I'm thinking about the Super Bowl right now. I mean, it's hitting me big time that this team can go all the way.
Lofty goals. With more on the Bears-Colts game, let's go out to the Hoosier Dome in Irv Cross.
Greg, we got a lot of injury reports to report today. Neil Anderson, the Bears' outstanding running back, has been inactive today, will not play, had a severely pulled hamstring muscle, and Ditka inactivated him because he would be tempted to play him otherwise, so he's on the bench. They also have other injury problems on the kicking side. Kevin Butler, the outstanding field goal kicker, came out early to work out, kicked it with his right leg, then turned around and kicked with his left leg. He has a hip flexor injury on the right side. He told me that he would definitely kick field goals today. He'll start trying with the kickoffs and see how things go. Now, if he can't go in the kickoffs today, he'll go with Steve McMichael, who has never kicked a field goal in a National Football League regular season game, and he'll go ahead and take care of the kicking chores. Now, the Colts also have injury problems coming in. We went over to watch practice yesterday with Coach Rick Venturi, and he called off practice because 17 out of 20 players who reported to practice that day reported with a mysterious virus. They're sick, weak, and nauseous. Now, he told me a minute ago, Irv, we're sick, we're weak, but we're going to be ready to go. We'll play. Greg?
All right, Irv, thanks very much. Now, the Bears are primarily a running team. Be interesting to see how they do today without Neil Anderson, but this is a good team that's gotten better.
Yeah, and I point to one game. Point to the Saints game when Harbaugh had a horrible game, but he got the winning touchdown to Waddle at the very end to win that game against the best defense in the National Football League. Since then, they've been a totally refocused football team.
The 5-5 Atlanta Falcons are another team suffering some untimely injuries as they go into today's game against the Bucs, and Brad Nessler has the latest.
That's right, Greg. Jerry Glanville told me earlier in the week he's never had a team more banged up at this stage in the season in his coaching career. He does have a starting quarterback back, however, Chris Miller. We talked to him as he warmed up about his injured ribs. Chris, tell me what you found out about the ribs this week and how do they feel going into the game?
Well, I found out, you know, they're bruised also, but I got a couple cracked ribs in there. And actually, the bruise is more uncomfortable than the crack itself. But, you know, I'll be fine out here today as long as I can stay on my feet and stay away from those guys driving me into the turf. So,
is there any pass that you're worried about trying to throw? Is there anything you'd have to do differently out here today or not?
No, it feels fine. It feels fine. I just told the old lineman I'd take him out to a good dinner with some Don P. and Chris Dahl and stuff if they take care of me. So, hopefully I won't take any hard hits today.
Well, one lineman that won't be part of that dinner and won't be on the field today is Bill Fralick, all-pro right guard, put on injured reserve after elbow surgery. So that's a story from Atlanta. Greg, let's give it back to you.
All right, Brad, thanks very much. What's the deal with a quarterback and a rib injury? How badly does it affect him?
Okay, if it's on the right side as a quarterback, it really doesn't matter, because when you throw the football, Greg, and you extend the right arm, you stretch the area, which is fine. But if it's on the left side, the injury's on the left side, when you release the football and you're over and bent, you then have pinched the area, as my phone fell down, you pinch the area, which causes pain. Now, you take a few aspirins, and you'll be fine. And if you can afford Don Perignon, I'm going to guarantee you can afford to stay on this field.
All right, Terry, today's big AFC matchup is in Kansas City, where the Chiefs host the Broncos. Both teams are tied for first place, 7-3. Jim Gray has more from Arrowhead Stadium.
Here in Kansas City, it's turned out to be a beautiful day for football, but that wasn't the case just a couple of hours ago. It poured rain here in Kansas City all night long, and the grounds crew here at Arrowhead Stadium had a real tough time clearing several thousands of gallons of water off the field. But right now the field is dry and will be in good shape for the game. Now, the Broncos have won 5 of their last 6 meetings against the Chiefs, and Marty Schottenheimer's just 1-7 career against the Broncos. Now, a bit earlier, I had the opportunity to speak to Duron Cherry of the Chiefs and Dan Reeves of the Broncos about the keys to today's game.
This is the game that not only will put us in first place, but we get a 2-game division record lead on them, and that's what's important. And it is a big game for us. It's the biggest game of our season right now.
Well, the real key is we haven't been able to force turnovers defensively. We only had 1 turnover in the last 4 ball games. You know, we played a good game last week against the Raiders, but the Raiders made no mistakes, and we turned it over 3 times. For us to have a chance today, we've got to play error-free football. We can't afford to give the Chiefs a short distance to go to score.
And the Broncos should be concerned about turnovers, as the Chiefs lead the league with 17 takeaways. And cornerback Kevin Ross will be returning to the lineup for the first time in a couple of weeks. Just how important is this game? Well, Bronco owner Patrick Bolin told me that whoever loses really can forget about the Super Bowl. That's the story from here in Kansas City.
All right, Jim, Pat Bolin may be overstating things a bit there, but a wet field means Christian Okoye is a little bit more important.
Right. I talked to Carl Mecklenburg and I talked to Mike Kroll, fine linebackers for the Broncos. Here's what they said. They said when you play Okoye, you play an aggressive style defense. You attack and gain tackle him, big, strong guy. But when Harvey Williams comes in, then you back off being aggressive and become very passive because he's so quick and lateral. You just sit still and let him come to it. Also, he said they worked on the gauntlet drill to try to create turnovers, something he hadn't done all year.
All right, Terry, up next we'll head back down on the field and check in live with Leslie Visser at Three River Stadium, where the 10-0 Redskins go against the Steelers. That and more when the NFL Today continues live from New York here on CBS.
The NFL Today is sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Siemens, for leading-edge technologies in electronic and electrical engineering, depend on Siemens. And by Craftsman, a line of over 1,600 hand tools made in America, guaranteed for life.
Once again, BMW takes the luxury sedan where it's never been before. The 750iL with ASC plus T. Automatic stability control plus traction. Every second, computers monitor wheel slippage and apply up to 100 engine and brake adjustments, helping keep the driver in control, proving the difference between an ordinary sedan and the ultimate driving machine.
The kids really like their Radio Shack electronic games. He won't put them down. John is glued to his sea battle. Amy's into her speedway game. Ken just keeps playing this football game. Guess that leaves me with nothing much on my hands. Except LCD Golf. Hole in one! Wow!
Over 20 exciting electronic games from $6.95.
Radio Shack, America's technology store.
The temperature never drops below Xerox. That's very important to remember at a time like this, when it's very cold and you've got to get going. Ah, you did remember Xerox Antifreeze. The temperature never drops below Xerox.
Alka-Seltzer's Laws of Indigestion. Law number 5. The more sensitive your stomach is to pepperoni pizza, the more you will crave it. For heartburn with headache, you need Alka-Seltzer, because there's no law against fast relief.
Indianapolis, Daytona, Talladega, Pomona, Baja. Why do we go to such distant places to put Craftsman tools to the test? If you're going to guarantee a tool forever, it's got to take the torture even guys like you dish out. 1,600 Craftsman hand tools, made in America, guaranteed forever, only at Sears. Besides, this kind of testing is fun.
Here's a look at today's weather. The satellite showing a couple of major storm systems at Candlestick. The Cardinals and the 49ers will have rain and wind to contend with. No rain, but plenty of wind. Gusts up to 35 miles an hour for the Jets and the Patriots in Foxborough. Right now, let's head down on the field to Pittsburgh, where Washington continues its quest for perfection. For more, here's Leslie Visser. Hello, Leslie.
Hello, Greg. It's beautiful here. As you know, there have been 25 Super Bowl rings, but only one of them says 17-0. The Washington Redskins, of course, are trying to become only the second team in history to finish the season undefeated. But they know how fragile that standard of excellence can be.
It's kind of like that feeling. You're in an auto race. You're probably about 7/10 of the way through the race, and yet you realize there's so much farther to go, and you don't want to have something happen to your car.
Injuries may still slow the Redskins down. They were fortunate to survive a missed field goal by Houston, and they were tied in the fourth quarter against Cincinnati. Cincinnati? Which is why Washington is confident, not arrogant, about the future.
You don't ever look down the road at being 16-0 and having a perfect season. Of course, we prepare for each week, but it's always in the back of your mind of, gosh, what would happen if we did finish this thing up the way we started it.
In either individual or team sports, it is monumentally difficult to go undefeated. We remember Bobby Knight's Hoosier team in 1976, or Don Shula's Dolphins in 1972. A team so proud of its singularity that a group of former players stood guard on the sideline when the Dolphins met the undefeated Bears 13 years later. They helped preserve their legacy. At least the Redskin team has one advantage over those Bears.
I think you die on the field before you give up that undefeated position. Luckily, for us, we don't have to play Miami.
The Redskins are looking at some pressure now that we certainly couldn't feel at that time. They're being watched from every angle. They've got to do a 19-game schedule to go all the way rather than 17. There's a lot of pressure on these guys.
There's pressure on you if you're 0-10. There's pressure on you if you're 8-2, so you might as well be 10-0.
You don't have to be undefeated in the season. It's just as long as you're on a roll going into the playoffs.
Even that may not be enough. This year, the Runnin' Rebels of UNLV lost in the national semifinals, which cost them an undefeated season and a shot at the title. So while the Redskins celebrate success, they are well aware across town that once being considered invincible doesn't always mean being unbeatable.
We're in a minor recession right now, but in Washington, D.C., you wouldn't know it because as long as the Redskins are winning, everybody seems to be in a better mood.
Can the mood of a city will a team to victory? 'Tis better to speculate than prognosticate.
Reality says that's very hard to do, and odds are we're not going to do it. But it's still great having a dream, and I think that's what life's all about, isn't it? You have a dream and kind of make it come true.
When asked what makes them special, the Redskins players say, well, we have a hot quarterback, a great running back, quick strike receivers, a good defense, and a solid kicking game. Sounds pretty much like the 72 Dolphins. Because Joe Gibbs has tried to temper their enthusiasm, he says, hey, all we're guaranteed is 10-6. The players arrived this morning looking confident, relaxed. They're almost businesslike. There's Joe Jacoby in their quest to become only the 9th team in history to start the season 11-0. Well, they have good news and bad news for the Redskins. The good news is that running back Ernest Biner, who sprained his knee last week against the Falcons, is going to try to play today. The bad news is that defensive end Charles Mann is definitely not going to play. He's out with a sprained knee. So, Greg, that's the story from here where, by the way, they love their legends. About 100 people have asked me for an autographed picture of Terry, so if you could send some down by halftime, that would help.
Sure, Leslie, I'll send you all my extras. I got a bunch of them.
How many does she need?
Now, you guys, the Steelers, were 7-0 back in 1978 en route to Super Bowl 13. Was there pressure being undefeated?
I think 7-0 is such a big deal. It's been a long time ago, Greg, but I think being undefeated is fun. If you're a veteran football team, you can handle being undefeated a lot better. That's why the Redskins, I think, are very likely a team that since 1972 Dolphins could finish the season undefeated. They're a veteran football team, and they got a coach that will not allow them to believe they're as good as the press is making them out to be.
Okay, and that business about a loss being better than a victory is nonsense. Next up, Terry's talk with Giants head coach Ray Handley. It's next when we continue on the NFL Today.
1874, the first transatlantic cable connecting Ireland and America. It was made by Siemens. That was then. This is now. Today, Siemens makes telephone switches that handle 1 million calls in a single hour, carry voice, text, and data on a single phone line. And at 23 research sites in America, the people of Siemens are developing technologies to connect us all to the future. Siemens, precision thinking.
This is Control. Go ahead.
We've got trouble.
What's the point of origin?
Japan.
Stand by. I'm patching you through to Command Center.
We've got to find it.
We'll have it tomorrow.
Tomorrow's too late.
You inform headquarters?
They're working on it. Hold on. You've got something. Quick, check the vehicle ID number.
That's it. With more parts for more import cars than anybody else.
We got it.
Napa is a domestic solution to an international problem.
Someone's taken some steps to juice up their batteries. And today's Duracell batteries can even outlast the ones we made just a few years back. You can't top the copper top.
No better way to face the day.
The morning belongs to Speed Stick. It's what more men reach for, to prepare, to prevent, to protect. Speed Stick.
No better way to face the day.
Dave Thomas travels the world over looking for new foods for Wendy's.
But if it's excuse me, is this what I ordered? Tonight we feast, but first we dance.
And it's not easy.
Boy, I sure could go for a Big Dave's Deluxe.
It's back. A big quarter-pound of fresh beef, cheese, 3 strips of bacon, sauteed onions. The works, only at Wendy's.
Which way to El Habib?
Come in for another Big Dave's Deluxe today.
Well, Eric Dickerson of the Colts will not be in uniform today. In fact, his locker at the Hoosier Dome is being used instead by Indy defensive back John Baylor. As a result of this week's arbitration settlement, Dickerson will not suit up next week either, but he will still get his $118,000 per game paycheck. What if the Colts decide to trade Dickerson after this season? Well, we've talked with a number of NFL teams. 3 have expressed interest. His former team, the Rams, the Atlanta Falcons, and the LA Raiders. But the most anyone's willing to spend, a single second-round pick for the player once worth 3 number 1s and 3 number 2s. Minnesota running back Herschel Walker, involved in the other mega trade of the 80s, is also making news this week. With more on that story and Minnesota's other woes, here's Hank Stram.
A lot of controversy in Minneapolis this week about the Vikings, and especially Herschel Walker. Newspaper article came out and said that definitely Herschel Walker would not be back with the Minnesota Vikings in 1992. I had occasion to talk to Herschel Walker yesterday and asked him about that remark, and he said, you know, it's a funny thing, Coach. He said, I haven't talked to anybody. I don't know how that could have gotten in the paper. I haven't made a comment with anybody about that situation at all. I said, well, what about your agent? He said, well, my agent is in Germany. He couldn't have had anything to do with it, so I don't know where it came from. The only thing I know is that I want to play for the Minnesota Vikings. I like playing for Minnesota. I want to make every contribution I possibly can for the Vikings and hope that we can get to the Super Bowl, period. That's all there is to it. Now, on the other side, we also had some controversy about Joey Browner. Joey Browner did not make the trip. He is not going to start this game, obviously. And Jerry Burns called him in the office the other day and said, Joey, you've got a bad shoulder, you've got a bad leg, you haven't been playing nearly as well as you have in the past, and as a result, we're going to start Solomon Wilcox. We want you to get ready, we want you to get well, we want you to get healthy, we want you to get back to your old form, but when you come back, you're going to have to compete for your old job with Solomon Wilcox. And that's what it is in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Hank, thank you. The Cowboys battle the Giants in a late game this afternoon at the Meadowlands. Yesterday, Lawrence Taylor was continuing his pursuit of becoming a two-sport athlete, while Terry visited with Giants head coach Ray Handley, who still stands firmly behind Jeff Hostetler as starting quarterback.
I don't want Hostetler going out there and looking over his shoulder. I don't think you can play well that way. You can pay all the lip service you want to the fact that you're not looking over your shoulder, but by golly, if you think the coach is going to pull you if you have a bad series, you're looking over your shoulder.
People aren't used to the Giants being 5-5. There's been questions by one of your players, Lawrence Taylor, that everybody quit.
I know I didn't quit.
You talked to Taylor?
Sure I did. I went in and I said, you know, you really think that everybody quit? And Lawrence says, you know, I thought some guys quit, and I didn't want to point fingers. And he says, so I said everybody quit. He included himself. Hell, he included the guy on injury reserve that didn't even make the trip.
Are you afraid that you might be losing this football team?
If we lose 2 or 3 more games here, sure, I've got the chance of losing this team and them losing heart. I talked about the pride of the Giants, the fact that headlines, you know, talk about the world chumps, that type of thing. And I said, that's not us. I said, that's not what we once said about us. I've quit talking about playoffs. Whatever happens, happens at this juncture. If we can play the type of football that we're capable of, 6 weeks from now, we'll go into the playoffs with a hell of a lot of momentum.
He's just talking about the playoffs, Coach.
Well, that's all right.
That accentuates how important this football game is for both these teams today. Can the Cowboys sweep the Giants this year?
Well, that's a very good point, Greg, because I asked Ray Handley, can the Cowboys sweep you? And he said, quote, there is no way the Dallas Cowboys will come into Giant Stadium and sweep the Giants. Now, on the other side, if I look at how could this happen, how could the Cowboys sweep them, one of the keys is Isaac Hope. If he is out, he's a cornerback, starting cornerback for the Cowboys. If he is out of the game, I think what will happen, the Cowboys will be forced to play more zone defense, which is good because in zones, then you take Hostetler scrambling away from him. That'll be a plus because the last time Hostetler killed him, but he threw 368 yards.
Yeah, Holt made the big interception to preserve the win down in Dallas. When we come back, espionage around the league. Pat O'Brien zooms in on that and more when he takes us around the NFL today next.
When what you eat and drink upsets your stomach, you want a medicine that works directly on your stomach itself. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, Pepto delivers powerful medicine directly to your stomach, right where you hurt. It's powerful relief. Pepto-Bismol. It's real medicine for your stomach.
Panasonic presents a new breed of smooth operator. The new Smooth Operator rechargeable razor unites the old-fashioned closeness of a warm, wet shave with the convenience and no-nick comfort of an electric. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you'd be. Today, the company that created the BMW 535i tries to blow it off the road. While all car makers pursue front-to-rear aerodynamics to save fuel, BMW also perfects resistance to crosswinds, which can save people. The choice is simply building an ordinary car or the ultimate driving machine.
Time for Pat O'Brien.
I'm in a Christmas mood today, fellas. Let me be the first to begin the countdown. There are only 37 more shopping days until Christmas, 13 to Hanukkah. And as my mother told me, you better shop around. And so today, on our little Sunday supplement, think of us as your home shopping network for Gridiron News. All the color and even some black and white.
Broadway.
There was a time when they allowed players to entertain on the field, but this year the Giants are executing their biggest plays for charity.
Which Giant, without any makeup, could play the part of a conehead on Saturday Night Live?
OJ.
Correct.
Cardinals quarterback Tom Tupa just couldn't seem to come up with any answers last Sunday, and because he wasn't on the money, he was replaced by Stan Gelbaugh, who will start today. But here's the deal on this. Had Tupa started today, he would have pocketed a tidy bonus. Coach Joe Bugle claims he didn't know about it. I wonder if there's any bonus pay for this kind of performance. Down in Louisiana, maybe you thought the governor's race was heated. At the Superdome, a halftime extravaganza backfired, and let this be a lesson for you kids at home. Don't play with matches. Fortunately, nobody was injured. Unfortunately, one cup wasn't enough. Nice try anyway. And once again, Gatorade gets free airtime. Meantime, there was a real point to be made.
I'm out there lining up, and I hear the roar of the crowd, and we haven't kicked it yet here. What's going on? And all of a sudden, I look back, and there's like 8 firemen out there, you know, doing what they do best, just putting out fires, and the turf was on fire. I'm going, geez, bring out the weenies here, you know.
Talk about being out of control. This whole spy business is bordering on chaos. If you thought the Giants were paranoid, look at Bill Belichick has brought to Cleveland.
What's this guard doing?
Well, he's guarding the fence to make sure that nobody steals it. And here's another one guarding the goalpost. We want to make sure that nobody takes that from us. Here's one of our better conditioned security guards. Oh, looks like he heard something.
Upstairs, maybe a helicopter overhead?
Yep, there's could be an eye in the sky there.
Finally, here's what some of our spies caught last night at the airport in Green Bay. 3, Tony Bennetts.
I feel like a real small fry. You got the world entertainer, got a professional athlete, and I'm just a college basketball player, so puts me into my place here.
I'm not the singer. He's Tony Bennetts, the original singer. So I think we both got a little fame off of his name.
Here you say you only met one other Tony Bennett before?
Yeah, she was a stripper in Cleveland in 1951, actually, and Tony, T-O-N-I.
Speaking of the Christmas catalogs here, one of them has a Terry Bradshaw autographed footballs. $250 they're getting for those.
That's a deal.
Somebody down in Pittsburgh wanted me to have you sign this. Pay me $500. Sign that to Chuck. You're the best.
Talk about pricing yourself right out of the market. We'll be back.
It isn't the night or even the fog that gets you. It's when the team leader puts you in charge for the first time. And you decide to drop right inside Alpha Team's backyard. That's when you find out how good you really are.
Monday. Amy and I have run off and got married. P.S. I did my homework.
Evening shade. Then, is Vicki Lawrence giving the Major a hard time?
She poked me.
What are you gonna do? Shoot me down like I could?
Major Dad.
All those who love great comedies say hi.
Tuesday, an air show stunt goes horribly wrong. Witness the actual footage of a daring last-minute rescue.
It was like doing a stunt that nobody's done before.
On Rescue 911.
Our 1 o'clock kickoffs in Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Atlanta, and Green Bay. For most of you, those games are next. Terry and I will be back at halftime and throughout this doubleheader day with scores and highlights. But right now, game time. Enjoy, everybody.